Common sense isn't gone. It just needs a comeback. Common Sense Superheroes with David and Greg.
What's up, and welcome to episode 30. Gotta go, Steph. Gotta go, the GOAT. There's not been a better shooter, as much as I love Larry Bird and all that. No better shooter in the history of the game, as far as I'm concerned, than Steph Curry. So, episode number 30 of Common Sense Superheroes. I am your host, David. Across from me, the bearded one with the crud, still kicking his butt over the weekend, Mr. Gregory Milligree. Greg, how you doing, buddy?
I am well, my friend. There's two things. One, Steph Curry, not only the greatest shooter of all time, he literally changed the game of basketball. And in a day where the game of basketball has been changed by a bigger, stronger, faster, and more athletic, the way he changed it kind of gave a lot of us hope of go, hey, there's still some skill. And back in the day, you and I could shoot a little bit, but no, Steph's a legend. And how is this the first episode you didn't start us by serenading something? Like, I was absolutely locked into the fact you were going to be singing Bruno to me.
You know what? Totally forgot. I don't know why that didn't even come to my head. I should have. Should we
I
restart?
absolutely thought
Should
you'd
we
be belting
restart
out
it?
Grenade or something.
Maybe we'll restart it. But Steph Curry, he did make the game different. He changed it, made it a little more acceptable for a guy who probably isn't as tall, that might can make a game by shooting basically at half court. But it did kind of ruin it, because now you just watch people throw it up over and over. They make 1 out of 7 shots, and they're like, look at that, made a 3. It loses its luster for me. I don't watch it as much as I used to, but
Yeah,
only Steph can do what he does.
one could easily make the argument that Steph has directly and immediately led to the likes of LaMelo Ball, and I can't watch that shit. That's
Yes,
tough. Like, that
it's
dude will jack it up from 40 feet. That dude will pass up a wide open layup to go shoot a 35-foot hook shot. I can't watch that.
Trae Young got a little cocky with that a few times and would throw it up way too far back and just try to make it. But he made a lot of them. I'll give him that. But can't get on the court this year. Since trading Trae Young, boy, the Hawks have been on a roll. I haven't watched and checked into them lately. Did they win the series against the Knicks, or is it still going?
I think it's still going. I've been keeping up with other stuff and hadn't checked into that.
It's good stuff. But speaking of keeping up with the other stuff, Greg, we obviously have what we got to talk about, but we'll get to that later. What happened over the weekend? But you, my friend, went to the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech. Went to beautiful Bobby Dodd Stadium. Did you not? I hope you didn't wear that hat.
I did not wear this hat. I did not. I tell you, David, life sometimes gives you a unique opportunity to realize just how important perspective is, because I could have very easily focused on the fact that I was spending my Saturday evening right in the middle of Georgia Tech's football stadium, listening to some 5'4" Latino belt out a bunch of songs I ain't never heard. But I could also focus on the fact that, and this is where perspective comes in, man, if you'd have seen how good hot young wife looked, and she was having the time of her life, brother, and that's all I was focusing on Saturday night. So I did not have a bad time at all.
That is nice. I will say, there's times where you roll through downtown Atlanta when the sun's setting on all the buildings. It can be pretty. You got to give them props. It can be very pretty at times.
As much as I have a deep-seated hatred for all that place encompasses, yeah, I got to admit, sitting on the side of the stadium we were on and seeing the downtown skyline in the background at sunset, it was pretty. But man, that damn GT logo is everywhere around that place, and it just makes me want to throw up.
Well, they do the same thing in Sanford, which also had a hell of a concert. I wish we could talk to your daughter, because I hear that was a heck of a show, where Luke Bryan and Jason Aldean and Lauren Elena doesn't get the props she does. And I think Zach Top was there. That's a huge one to me.
That has
Zach
been
Top
confirmed.
would be-
I confirmed that at dinner last night.
That would be huge. I mean, Zach Top is up and coming, and in the next 4 years is going to be leading the charge for everybody, I believe. But that looked like a hell of a show as well. So both big colleges in the state of Georgia had a hell of concerts over the weekend. And if you take away the fact that your wife made you go, given your brothers, and take away the fact of what stadiums they were in, which concert would you have gone to?
I mean, I absolutely would have gone to Aldi and Luke Bryan. And I'm not a big fan of either of those guys. They've gotten into a little bit too much of that kind of bro country stuff that's not really my jam. But I mean, again, Luke Bryan, Jason Aldean over Bruno Mars, that's not even up for debate in my world.
I gotta say, I love obviously Jason Aldean, Macon boy. I mean, it's your neck of the woods. Luke Bryan, I like from old Leesburg, I think, down in Albany area. Uh, Lauren Elena, I love. I love the Georgia feel that they had of everything. Bruno Mars, man, tell me you were somewhat impressed by the performance.
I will say, and again, I have gotten to the stage in life where I think I have a little bit of a better ability these days to appreciate something for what it is, or at least what
Yes.
it's intended to be, even if it's not my cup of tea, so to speak. No, it was oddly enough, Haley said she was a little disappointed, and I don't know what her expectations was, but I might know 4 or 5 Bruno songs that she's played in the car over the years.
Yeah.
I thought it was from a performative standpoint, from an artistic standpoint, it was phenomenal. I gotta take a minute to be the crusty old dude, though, go, "Man, son of a b it's 140 decibels for about 5 consecutive hours, and every time she turns and wants to say something to me, I'm going, 'Sweetheart,' I go, 'you yelling louder in my ears, not helping anything.' I go, 'I can't hear nothing in this environment.' I said, 'Unless you're on fire or dying, just don't talk to me right now.'"
I
So,
hope
but it was a good show, man. Like, the production quality, like, he nailed it, and he come out for the encore and, really made it feel special towards the city of Atlanta, and there were some young ladies in the house that they were feeling it, I can assure you.
well, I bet. There was some babies made, on Saturday night. What does it have any special guests come out? I know Jason Aldean and them had Kirby come out. Did anybody come out in Bruno's
Nothing
concert?
nothing as significant as that. He had reunited with one of his old, teammates, Leon Thomas, and that was a pretty good performance. Leon was the kind of the middle act. Some cat let us off named DJ Pee Wee, and boy, that first 45 minutes or so, I was scratching my head going, "Man, it's got to get better than this," and luckily it did.
Can't say I'm familiar with a DJ Pee Wee, but that
Well,
doesn't
here's
mean
the thing,
anything.
and I don't, and I guess you and I seem to be spitting out random podcasts under various titles all over the place. DJ Pee Wee has like 4 different monikers, he's 4 different stage names. Apparently, he's some sort of like high level performer. He's got all kind of shows and performances everywhere. I'd never heard of the cat, never seen the cat, didn't recognize any of his 4 names, so I don't know who he was, but apparently he's like a big deal.
And today's world is weird. The people that have a following that you would never imagine, where it's blown up and as popular as they are, and we've never even heard of inkling of their name. I have known none of these people. It's like when my kids will throw out some YouTuber, I'm like, "There's no way this dude's popular," and he's got like a gazillion followers. I'm like, "I don't know who this is."
Well,
Unboxing stuff.
at some point, and I'd like us to maybe focus an entire episode on that, because I think that's a really intriguing topic we could go down, because I think that's part of where we're kind of losing sight of things as a nation, as a society, is there's so little shared experiences anymore. Like, everybody has their own little lane, their own little stuff they follow, and I'm like you, like some of these people on YouTube or TikTok that my wife or my kids think these are the most famous people in the world, and I'm going, I ain't ever seen them on a basketball court, a
Yeah.
baseball field, or on Fox News. So I don't know who the hell they are. Like,
I miss
they're irrelevant to me, and they're like mega stars to people that I'm close to. So it's an issue, I think.
I miss the good old days when the '80s was somebody was popular, everybody knew it. Everybody knew Mr. T. Everybody knew Michael J. Fox. Everybody knew Michael Jackson, whose movie has blown up over the weekend. And I keep seeing these clips about I hate being an old man, and I'm that way, and I have been for a while. You talk about going to these concerts, and I hope I get back to the point where I want to go to concerts and be around crowds because I'm just not a crowd guy. But movies is going to the movies, the Michael Jackson biopic. There's people getting up on the stage and doing the dancing, and there's just everybody hooting and hollering. I wanna see the movie. I can't go to a movie when they have all that going on, so that may prevent me from going to watch this movie in the theaters, that and obvious things that may
You
have
know,
think
you
about,
touched
but
on you touched on something, and I'll say this kind of half jokingly, but there's also some truth to it. Part of the most entertaining portions of my Saturday night were watching all the little folks film TikToks in front of us, because we were on a front row, like in between the walkway. And so literally, like, for 30 minutes before the show, in between like, that's all anybody want to do is get right in front of our little section and filming TikToks. And I mean, it's a whole different world, brother. And
can't go
there's
to a
just,
concert without
you
phones
know,
in the air. You're basically watching off the phones.
you and I remember when there were only 3 channels and you were the remote, like, to
Yeah,
change between the 3. Everybody watched the same stuff. Everybody knew the same references. Everybody had the same stars. Like, it's just a different world where everybody's got their own little individual portal to their own entertainment, and none of us share anything anymore.
I don't like going to a show where I have to watch the show basically on a screen, either a big screen so I can see it because I'm so far back, or the screen in front of me when the person's holding their phone up recording it. Spoiler alert, it never sounds as good as it is when you're there on social media. When you post it, it never sounds as good unless you're up close. I've seen a couple intimate postings of people that post stuff that sound really good, but for the most part, if you're back in the upper deck and you're recording it, it ain't gonna sound as good. We don't just I appreciate it and I'll watch it, but we don't need the audio.
No, and I think all of us, and even myself to some degree, I think we've all got a little carried away with the need, the feeling of needing to document every single thing we do. And I'm going, man, at some point, how many times do you look back through your phone and you see some pictures and go, shit, I don't even remember taking that picture.
I
No, because you
know.
weren't present in the moment. All you were doing was focus on taking pictures.
Yeah, it's all for the social media. This is a good time to plug our social media. Go find us on TikTok and, make us famous. My video that I posted about
Facebook and X for me.
the video I posted about the girl yelling at the CNN reporter, last check was up to like 239,000 views. And the girl actually came onto my page and was like, "Yes, that's me. I don't apologize." And I was like, "Look, don't apologize. I love it." And she
Can we
was
get her
like,
on the show?
"I need probably can." It's a sad situation where they were filming it, she said, was literally right next to where her dogs were had died and their bodies, their carcasses were right there. And they're just sitting there filming, trampling all over her property. Her name was Bree, I believe it was. But man, you never know what's gonna blow up. And that blew up and I put a little clickbait. I said lady rages at CNN, but it wasn't necessarily her raging. It's just her saying, "Hey, get off my property. This ain't the time to take advantage of people's turmoils for your viewers," which is what I
No,
did by making a TikTok about it. So I'm partly guilty of
you,
it.
you did, but you didn't invade her personal space,
I
and
did not. I would
I don't
not,
care if
did
you got
not,
a
would not.
press badge on or not. There's gotta be some sort of understanding of, when people are going through some stuff, apparently, like I said, if you don't at least go knock on the door and give them a heads up and go, "Hey, can we film a segment here?" Like, what are you thinking? And again, you and I touched on it. You do that in South Georgia, you taking your own life in your hands.
He was, and old Derek had to learn the hard way because she was upset, and I do not blame her. And if you trampling through people's stuff and their personal belongings, like, A, I don't wanna watch on TV my stuff getting trampled on and my personal belongings that are burnt to a crisp. I don't know what you're gonna pick up or anything you're doing like that. B, if I gotta do insurance, they're gonna be like, "Well, you had people over there trampling on it." That might affect that as well if that's the case. So, just it's bad decorum. I mean, the press, it's rough. And before we get to the press, speaking of that, my weekend was baseball fueled, obviously. I had baseball Friday night where we ended up winning the Mudcats. Then if we won Saturday, we go straight to the championship the next Saturday. And we did. So we went 2-0 over the weekend and we're going straight to the championship. Next Saturday, the Mudcats are going to be competing for the championship. We have to lose two. And if we lose two instead of just winning one, then we deserve not to win it. But I like my chances. If you got to beat us twice in the same day, back to back, I like my chances, but I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch, shall we say? But I'm
Well,
liking the look of it.
from what I recall, especially back at that level and that stage in baseball, so much of it's about being able to kind of stack your pitchers and get things ready. So if you're coming in the winner's bracket and somebody's got to beat you twice, that means they can't throw their best pitcher the whole time, and that's always an advantage.
Not to mention, there's three teams still battling for it. They got to play. Two of them play tonight. Whoever loses is out, and then Friday night they got the one team and the other team play to see who plays us. So they're gonna have to bring their best pitchers that night on Friday. So they're gonna come in depleted, but I'm not gonna go with that mindset. I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm thinking they're gonna bring their best. But I'm full bore. I can pitch anybody I want. I got the whole team, whole all my pitchers I can use for Saturday. So I like my chances with my boys and the other two guys that I got to pitch. I like my chances, but you never know. It's baseball. It's youth baseball. Anything can happen, but I do like my chances. The youngest boy had a game. Brooke had to go Saturday because I had the game with the older two to one park. They got rained out basically in Canton. And as they were like, we're just going to cancel it. As they're in McDonald's getting food, they're like, nope, instead we're going to move it down to Skipjack Park or whatever, like in Marietta. So Brooke was driving all over the place on Saturday. He ended up leaving about, I don't know, 9 o'clock that morning and didn't get back till 9:30 that night. Crazy day. They went 1-1, lost one, and then Sunday, I took them, and we ended up getting smoked by a team out of Noonan called Drip. I knew when they had their own stationery, handing us their lineup, and they had a song specially made, kinda like we do for here, that was banging, son. I mean, our whole team was banging. It was a damn good song, and they had a speaker bigger than my car, basically. I was shocked. I was like, "Well, this is gonna be a rough one," and it was. They played tough, but we didn't bring the bats.
Luckily with, I haven't had to deal with too much of that, but my limitations on the experience for the whole travel baseball thing, which I've maintained has gotten way out of
Out of
hand.
hand.
But most of that I feel like comes from what I see online, which is usually the
Well,
higher end and the more
take it from
egregious
me.
stuff. But like you said, man, you got a team called Drip coming out with their own stationery, their own their own
Hey,
intro songs and stuff. Man,
what the
that's tough.
hell?
Like that's a different level.
It is a
Nobody cared
da
about me that much when
a
I was 12.
damn different level. It was everybody got their own personalized songs for their walk-ups. It was quite amazing. It was shocking, but speaking of shocking, I guess you could say shocking. It's not as shocking as you want it to be, but Saturday night, the White House Correspondents Dinner took place, and that was held at the Washington Hilton in Washington, D.C. It was around 8:30. Trump and, JD Vance, and basically who's who of the White House administration and also of the press was in attendance for this thing because it's the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which Trump, I believe, hasn't gone to, and probably since when Obama called him out and basically made him wanna run for president. That was a bad move on Obama's part. But around 8:30, a shooter rushed in with ran basically wide open past the security checkpoints of, Secret Service, armed with a shotgun, handguns, and knives, and he fired at least one shot, shooting one Secret Service agent, thankfully, who had a vest on and was protected by it. He was quickly subdued and arrested, and there were no fatalities, even though early on they were TMZ was reporting that the shooter was dead and was shot. Come to find out he wasn't shot at all. But again, Greg, somebody comes in to try to, you got to say it, assassinate the president once again.
And I think the hardest part is we're looking at this and not getting desensitized to it by any stretch because it still just leaves you shaking your head going, "What are we doing? Like, what is wrong with this nation?" But on the other hand, you sit there and you can kind of point to what's been going on and go, "You know what though? Like if we continue to not only like continue to ignite this stuff and build this venom between each side. You got cases like the Luigi Mangione and half the nation is damn near like making him into a hero. I'm sorry, like I still go back to the 2020 bullcrap during all the COVID and the BLM stuff with George Floyd and trying to make George Floyd into a martyr and a hero. It's just created a narrative where I think the sick and the psychotic amongst us think that this is their way to get some recognition or get some sort of notoriety. And brother, this just ain't okay. And I have I have been accused for the last year or so of becoming a little too much of a grumpy old man and more of a recluse. But more and more, I'm just losing hope for how do we fix this stuff because it only seems to be getting worse and worse by the day. And the vitriol and the negative energy is exponentially multiplying. And I don't know. I mean, short of forcing everybody to start praying every day and start reading the Bible, I don't know how we fix this. And we can't force them to do that.
Well, the Babylon Bee put it pretty well. Who I love, the Babylon Bee. They said this is a both side issue. Says side that shot President Trump, assassinated Charlie Kirk, tried to assassinate Kavanaugh, tried to shoot Trump again, shot Steve Scalise, firebombed Governor Shapiro, tried to shoot Trump a third time, et cetera, et cetera. At some point, the numbers got to balance out. If you're going to blame one party wholeheartedly, which they seem to want to blame the Republicans, obviously, I'm not saying nobody should shoot anybody. There should be no political violence in that way, but it seems to be coming a lot from one side.
Well, beyond where it's coming from one side, the part about that is you take this shit with the Southern Power Law people, like the things that do seem to come from our side, you could damn near make the case all that stuff's probably funded for and formatted by the left. Trying like you can't tell me at this point, and I'm sorry, I know there's going to be arguments everywhere. This will blow up online. At this point, I am damn near convinced the whole January 6th stuff was probably organized and orchestrated from some left wing organization trying to get this to happen. Same thing with the Virginia riots, all this stuff, man. It is Look, anytime you point out facts and reality these days, you're just called a racist and a bigot. But I'm sorry, the numbers don't lie. The facts and the statistics don't lie. We have got to start pointing to the truth and go, hey, look, this is what's true. This is what's real. And this is what we need to be acting off of. This bullshit narratives about both sides are to blame and all this stuff. No, that's simply not true. Let's stop pretending like things are what they aren't. It is a left issue. And anything, like you said, the handful of things where you can have what may be perceived as any right wing violence, I'm starting to believe all that's orchestrated by left wing causes.
You mentioned Louis Mangione. Look how he was celebrated, literally celebrated by the left. Charlie Kirk assassination, that was celebrated. When Paul Pelosi got hit with a hammer, we did make some jokes. There was some possible things because he didn't pass away, but he did get seriously hurt. And it was an odd situation where he had drinks with the guy and he was in his underwear. Whatever. It was wrong. It was horrible, but nobody really celebrated it. You see celebrations take place when people are assassinated on the right. The Mangione situation, the Charlie Kirk celebration. That is the difference to me. That is the difference. I will never, ever celebrate somebody being assassinated that is a part of a different political party than me. If it's a terrorist or like Ayatollah, I didn't necessarily celebrate it, but I damn sure didn't feel bad for it. But I don't see how you can celebrate somebody's death. It's not my thing of just
David,
because of a political disagreement.
you and I have prided ourselves on the whole common sense moniker, and looking at this from what I believe to be a common sense point of view, I mean, at this stage, like, they're not going to stop trying. Like, this is going to continue to happen. And I'm sitting there going, dude's got 2.5 years left. There's a pretty good shot at some point along the way, somebody pulls this shit off. And what happens then, David? Like, you think about where that puts us as a nation, and the fact that it's just nobody on the other side is doing anything to try to rein this stuff in, anything to try to mend fences and make some sort of element of peace between the two sides. I only see it getting worse. And you bring it to its natural conclusion. Honestly, what happens if somebody succeeds at killing him in the next 2.5 years? Where does that put us?
If I was on the Democrat side, which thankfully I'm not, I would say, hey, let's don't do that because if you give Trump room, he's going to mess up things himself. If he had not been possibly attempted to be assassinated in Butler, Pennsylvania, would he have won? I can't say that. I can't say that because it brought our side together so much, but it also brought everybody. It gave him such a platform to be like, look, clearly they're trying to hide something. And it made us a badass moment where he's up there, fight, fight, fight. Even Mark Zuckerberg came out and was like, you got to admit that was pretty badass. If you do take him out, which God willing that does not happen, and they please stop trying, I think you're going to bring the Republican Party even closer together. So I don't understand who's behind this logic of this because it's not going to help your side out. You were winning. If this guy was smart, he wants to like save America, whatever he's trying to think he's trying to do. Buddy, the numbers are not very good right now for the Republican Party going into the midterms. You might have swayed it a different way. You might have brought things together. Trump came out, had a chance to lambast the media, which he did a little bit on Sunday, had a chance to lambast the media because of this. When he came out and spoke later that night, actually talked about the fact that we were kind of united and we're going to go back and have this White House Correspondents Dinner. So I don't know who's pulling the strings over there, but this is a bad look. This may be a lone wolf. I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean I would be absolutely shocked if this was some sort of lone wolf just out there trying to make himself a martyr. I mean, there's just so much of the evidence and everything we've seen for the last 8 to 10 years. I mean, from all the way back from the Russian collusion stuff. Like, I mean, God bless David. At some point, on one of my episodes of Belief Ballots and Bets, I made the comment. I think we touched on it even maybe on Friday. When somebody continues to show you who they are, at some point, just pay attention and let them tell you. Like, let them show you who they are, and then react accordingly. And I think we know who the other side is. Like, they just don't care about lying and misleading and completely fabricating stuff to try to make a point. And I'm sorry, but we just can't. We can't move forward towards anything good if we're not operating in truth and reality.
Dude his name is Cole Thomas Allen. He's 31 out of Torrance, California. From all accounts, a very intelligent fella. I mean, he was a
Yeah,
teacher,
went to yeah, like
a,
he went to
a
one of the
video game
higher like cal
development.
yeah.
Yeah, had all kind of awards that he's won, things like that. So, and sent a manifesto talking about how he was going to save people from pedophiles, blaming Trump, which he got into it with Nora O'Donnell, I believe, on 60 Minutes, because she brought out the fact that he said he was going to save pedophiles and all that, clearly insinuating that he was talking about Trump. And so Trump called her out and she was like, "Oh, are you trying to say that you think that was about you? Come on, you know exactly what you was doing." But all this stuff that came out about how he was upset at the government, upset at Trump, this and that. And then Obama posted, "Even though we don't know the motive yet." I'm like, bro, get the hell out of here. You know damn well what the motive was.
Well, I mean, the frustrating thing is though, and when you and I see these clips or you and I read something online, the anger and the frustration that pops off in us because we just know we're being lied to and we know what's going on, like that's sad and it's terrible that we got to cipher through all that bullshit every day. But the scary part is there's half those people out there that are reading that and thinking it's the absolute truth. And they're basing their opinions and their decisions and their behaviors on this stuff that is nowhere near even a figment of what's real. And we are just going farther and farther down the wrong paths. And I don't like I said, I don't know what the answer is. And that's terrifying.
They can write down their motive, call out Trump by name, call out the fact that they're wanted Kamala Harris. They can call out the fact that they're Democrats. And yet when it comes out, they're like, well, we don't know the motive yet. Meanwhile, if something bad happens against the left, and if the guy, whomever it may be that had done it, ever even watched The Apprentice when Trump was on it, if you watch Home Alone 3 that Trump was in, they'll be the first ones to point to, oh, a Trump supporter, MAGA supporter. They'll throw out the MAGA so damn fast it ain't even funny. But Lord forbid you call out your own side.
Well, and then you get into, like we talked about last week, you get into circular logic and the Kafka trap, and you go, the whole with the Charlie Kirk thing. Well, yeah, of course. But if you were a Republican plant and you scrapped that stuff on the bullets, wouldn't that be a pretty good way to cover it up and make them think it was from the left? Like it's no matter what, they're
Can't win.
just not going to accept reality for what it is. And look, maybe I'm getting old and grumpy and just need to be more alone, but I think it's just I'm just tired of dealing with people who won't participate in reality. Like if I'm going to go through this crazy world, I want us to all at least be operating from the same sense of reality, the same sense of what's true. And right now, we're not even close to that.
You knew it's gonna come out that they're saying that, "Oh, this is a plan. This is a setup. This is all Trump was behind it. This was like they're posting videos, this and that." You knew that was gonna happen. It happens like people still stupidly say that Trump had somebody shoot at him and he turned his head at the exact right time and but they sacrificed some guy's life. Calling the Butler, Pennsylvania was a setup by him. They're gonna say no matter what. So they're already saying that now when it comes to this attempt on his life.
But they have so pushed this narrative so vehemently for so long and inflamed the cases of TDS to the point where people actually believe this stuff. And I'm telling you, like that is like when all is said and done, that's the most terrifying thing in the world to think that we've got 70, 80 some odd million people in this country running around doing things based on fictitious and false narratives completely.
I still don't understand how he was able to get that close. Apparently, he had checked into the hotel the day before, but was able to get close enough to where you can actually hear the gunshots from it. Now, he wasn't necessarily he wasn't gonna get in no matter what happened. There was no way to go past the doors.
Let me interject here. Let's just take a quick public service announcement, David. And for the 11 and a half viewers or listeners of the Common Sense
We
Superheroes,
were up
we
to
in no
18.
way
Okay.
condone political violence for any scenario. Do your own research, get the facts, try to live in the truth like we do. But even if you get really frustrated, don't go try to shoot nobody, please. Okay, move on.
Please don't. I don't understand. You're not gonna accomplish what you wanna accomplish. You shooting Kennedy made his legacy, you even talked about it in Weird Friends, made his legacy more inflated than it possibly should be. So unless
But
you're
he's
trying to
he's an
help him
absolute
out,
martyr and hero, and he wasn't that good of a president, truth be told.
you wanna help Trump out, then that the best thing you I'm not gonna say it, but if you were to try to do what you wanted to do, that's gonna only make his legacy even stronger. So, if you really wanna do damage to him, then just go vote for your side. How about that? How about you find a good candidate on your side and have somebody run against them. You have
Uh,
not done that so far.
I think part of that too is, and maybe I'm giving them too much credit on the left, but you got to think that there are some semblance of some moderate Democrats. I'm talking old school, 15, 20 years ago Democrats that have to be looking at what their party's bringing to the table now and going, holy shit, like this is who you're giving us to vote for. Like it's got to be a challenge for some of them too. And I can only hope that maybe those are some of the people we can reach out to and go, hey, look, there's a far right end that we all know about, and there's a far left end that we all know about. But there's plenty of us still in the middle that I think we can figure out a way to move forward if people will just start getting back to let's operate in truth and reality.
I'll
Simple.
get I'll get back to why I think the Secret Service, that was a failure of a situation. But speaking of you talking about who's going to run and this and that, and if they're smart, they'll get behind because I ended up liking some of the things he says. Rahm Emanuel seems like a logical guy. I mean, he speaks well. He knows his shit. Former, was he mayor or governor? Mayor of Chicago, worked in the Obama administration. He comes with some common sense approach on a lot of
And
subjects.
I simply don't think they can allow that at the top of
They
the ticket.
can't.
Like
You're
it's
right.
going to have to be
He's
one of their
not left
extreme
enough.
candidates. It's going to have to be some level of either super lib like Gavin Newsom or some element of a DEI Kamala Harris type. It's got to be one of those two. It can't be anybody normal. Not at
I
this
hope
point.
I hope it's not him because I think he'd have a chance. So I hope that is the case, and I hope it's not Governor Shapiro because I think he has a chance, but they won't let that
They
happen.
can't. They won't let him. He's a Jew.
They won't
There's
let
no
it.
way they're putting
No,
a Jew at the
sir.
top of their ticket right
No,
now.
sir. Hence why he didn't get the. If he'd have got the vice president nod for Kamala Harris, is might be having a different conversation today. But
I
you had to
mean,
get old Tim Walz. Thank
short of
goodness.
somebody coming out of nowhere, I mean, I don't see any way that it's not some combination of, a Kamala and a Gavin. They're gonna one of them coming from California is gonna be on the ticket at some level. I can't imagine Kamala will take a VP role
She's
at
not
this
going to
point.
take another VP role behind the white
But
man. No way.
are they gonna try to elevate AOC? Hey, while we're mentioning random political names and members of Congress, Jasmine Crockett, please come on our show. We have
Please.
missed you, and I will
Please.
help you make some clips that can go viral again. It's been too long
Yes.
since we've heard anything from old Jazzy. I don't know what she's up to, but like she's got time on her hands. She can give us a 30-minute episode, right?
You heard me speak. I might make you sound smart with some of the stuff that I say, and that's going to be hard to do. Get you and Maxine Waters on, and heck, I mean that's quite a duo. Jasmine
I guess
Crockett
they
needs
might
to
uh,
be
they might
back.
throw in Mayor Pete and his
Pete Buttigieg.
yeah, he might be in the running, but man, you look at who their candidates are, and you and I've touched on this briefly, but you put any of those up against a combination of Marco and JD, and I'm sorry, but I'm looking at that going, man, if that's not a defining election in 2028, if you give me two like supremely sharp, intelligent, like put together dudes that are clear alphas, clear leaders, and then you run any combination of Pete Buttigieg, Kamala, Gavin, AOC against them. And if people can watch those debates live on stage and vote for the other side, then I just don't think we all want to share the same country.
If you do, then you're clearly just voting by name only as far as political party. You're voting for D no matter what, because you're not going to vote based on the stances they take or the whoever wins the battle, which is a lot of the case anyways. We're all just trying to battle for the independents. You're going to have ones that vote Republican no matter what. You're going to have the ones that vote Democrat no matter what. You're trying to win out the independents, which is swaying to the left right now, which is why I'm hoping that we try to make somewhat of a comeback on this. But back to the Secret Service. How does a man roll through? I get he was running, and he wasn't really technically close, but they ended up tackling him right after, and there was shots fired. The dude was not shot once. He shot somebody, but he was not shot. What? Am I wrong here? Is I think Secret Service, I think top of the line. You roll through like that, you're gonna get blasted right away. How you not get him once? Even if you get him down, don't you? If he shot one of our guys, probably gonna shoot him. Just saying.
Well, I think the frightening part of that is no matter how well trained or how well prepared any of us are, or even at that level with a Secret Service detail, one crazy random person is impossible to plan for. And I mean, oh man, you talk about going down a rabbit hole. I don't know
Say it.
if I'm the only one that's thought about this, but you hadn't thought about from time to time, like if you just like with no ties or no connection, it wouldn't be hard to just randomly assassinate somebody and get away with it. Like if you don't have ties to, so if you're just some dude who's just got a crazy bug in your ear and just says, 10 days out, hey, the president's going to be here and I'm going to find a way to get a shot off at him. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know that there's any level of protected detail that can truly shut that down 100%.
I get that if he goes to, say, Pike County, Georgia, in a church in the middle of nowhere, you can find a way to be random. You go somewhere like he's on his golf course, like they tried to do, you can kind of get it set up if it's just one person. But when you have that many people of the administration, the importance, you had the top 3 guys there that if you take out Trump, you take out Vance, you take out Mike Johnson, I mean, who we looking at next? I mean, Rubio, I guess he's been the next in line. I don't know the succession when it comes to that, but with that many people, not only him, but celebrities as far as the news people, I'm sorry, you should not be anybody within 200 yards of that building that shouldn't be in charge of it. Now, this does help out the talks about wanting a ballroom to take place because this took place at a hotel where they had people staying in a hotel that wasn't part of this. That gives credence to the ballroom is why it's needed for events like this. What if we had a, say, Prince Charles there, or we had a, I don't know, Vladimir Putin, which nobody's going to be upset if that happens. But I'm saying if you're having all these dignitaries in a place like this, possibly, that something like this can happen, that's not a good look. That's why a ballroom may be necessary.
See, now you're part of the conspiracy now, David. You're just falling in
I'm
line.
not
You're part of
saying
the crew that helped
that
set this
this
shit up just
is
so he could get his ballroom. It was all staged. You
That's
and DT
happening.
were
You
in
better
on it
believe it.
together. Y'all are trying to pull the strings so this would happen. So now he's got impetus for the ballroom. I get it. You're in on
Yes.
the shit. I know.
I have got ties to the ballroom. I'm getting the invite. We're working on an invite, Greg. Will you not work with me? I'm trying to get an invite to the ballroom when it gets built in 2028. But it does make sense if we're going to have events like this and you got people that can just roll in that close to where the actual president can hear gunshots take place. The video is somewhat harrowing and odd to just see people freak out, which understandably.
Yeah,
They
I mean,
did
like I said,
drag JD out pretty quick.
on one level, you're not wrong. I mean, one would certainly hope that we could set up a more secure parameter to where this type of stuff doesn't happen. But like, I mean, again, you look at what we've seen in the last 2.5, 3 years. You know, if the media and the online platforms do this much to stir up this kind of hate and this kind of venom, people will find a way
And they
to
will.
get shit done. We're still Americans. We're still resilient. We ain't fighting for very good causes right now, and people aren't doing things for very good reasons. But if you plant a seed in our heads, people will find a way if you make them feel like it's important enough. And I'm sorry, but for 10, 12 years, enough people have compared him to the Antichrist and to Hitler and to all these things that, look, I'm not justifying it, but I am saying it is very understandable how millions and millions of people think they are doing the entire world a service if they off this guy. And if you got a little bit of mental instability and some psychosis going on, that level of martyrdom and being a hero can be pretty attractive. And so I'm not surprised that from time to time, some random jackass decides he wants to take his shot at being a legend.
If a genie comes to you and says you can go back in time and kill one person, a baby Hitler, you'd be like, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously I'd kill baby Hitler because that would be saving so many people's lives. So if you say that somebody is comparable to Hitler on a daily basis, it seems, a crazy person's going to think, oh, well, then I'll be doing, like you said, I'll be a martyr. I'll be saving the world from another Hitler. So
And
words
the
have
thing is,
meanings.
it's very hard to predict crazy. That's why we call it crazy. Like, you can take all the precautions and all that. And again, we do have to focus on the fact that at the end of the night, this was a triumphant success for the Secret Service. They got the guy neutralized. Nothing
Yes.
catastrophic happened. But short of, like you said, what do You're going to force the hotel to completely shut down for an entire week and not have, like, you simply can't do that. And, I'll tell you from a perspective of somebody who maybe in the last 6 or so months has been traveling even more than I like to. You start looking around, going through airports and going to different countries and different places, and you start realizing, man, at any point, like, it wouldn't be hard for something random like that to happen if somebody wants it to. And I think that's where, we need to do better about dialing in the security measures and having protocols and things in place for sure. But it all starts with, we need to dial down the narrative. We need to start figuring out how to communicate with each other so we're not at each other's throats and feel like we need to kill the president.
I get it, and you can't stop crazy, and crazy will do if you just like we was talking about Iran. If they're willing to kill themselves, how do you stop somebody like that? And if somebody's willing to go to that stretch where he's running it through the Secret Service, knowing he probably knew it was a suicide mission, he knew he was going to get killed. He didn't get killed, but he probably was thinking like, "Well, I'm gonna die, but I'm gonna do it for a cause." You you can have that kind of crazy that can do. If you're willing to die, you can do almost anything or attempt anything. But in a place like this with that many dignitaries or people of the administration or importance of our government, you just think, I mean, if you got to rent out the whole damn hotel, you might would do it. Is all I'm saying. It's odd to think that somebody that doesn't have credentials to get that close would be a close enough to just run through like that. That's all I'm saying. It's just odd, and it will be a conspiracy theory that they did this basically just to get the ballroom going. It's
And you
possible.
were in on it. Now you've
I'm in
confirmed
on
it.
it. I'm trying to get invited, Greg. You messing up our plan. Damn it. You still trying to get paid by Netanyahu. You still trying to get that Israel trip. I know. Trying to go to
Cash App,
Jerusalem.
Greg Dog, 2325.
I know. But sad any way you look at it. I could not, and I understand it. The Secret Service, their job is to protect the president first. So they grab Trump first and they grab JD first. As a man, it'd be hard for me to be like, hey, get my wife first. It's just tough, and I understand it. I know it. I get it. But if you came to grab me and I look back and see my wife there, I'm like, no, I'm grabbing my wife and taking her with me. It's just an odd scenario to be
Well,
put in as a man.
sometimes as a man, you're putting those tough choices. I found myself, and it's not anywhere near to that degree, but like even walking through Atlanta to the concert and back out of the concert late Saturday night, I've always been one of those, like, I try to walk, when we're walking down the sidewalk, I try to walk on the side where the cars are, just as a man. But then I'm looking at some of the shit that's on the other side of the sidewalk. Go, well, that may be more dangerous than the cars. So I don't know which side of my wife I'm supposed to walk on here, because a car would certainly run up on the curb and kill her. I go, but some of these dudes look pretty squirrely
Might
over
be
here.
the
I don't know
same,
that.
might be worse.
Uh,
Funny you say that. There's a video or image of Stephen Miller grabbing his wife and moving her who's pregnant and like getting her out of danger. And then everybody's commenting like, look, he's behind her. He's pushing her, using her as a shield. I'm like, they don't know if it's from this side or this side. He's trying to protect his wife clearly. Like, I'm not the big Stephen Miller fan because he looks creepy to me. He just has that odd look to him. But getting on him about this is ridiculous. The man, it's obviously most men are going to try to save their wives first, and I think that's what he was doing. So he's getting a bad rap when it comes to that.
Well, and even that little thing, like just the way that's framed, you shake your head, and go,
Tells
come
you
on, like,
all you
can't we
didn't
be
know.
better than this? Like, can we not at least in that moment of tragedy go, hey, look, a lot of people think Stephen Miller is an A-class D-bag. I get it. He doesn't present himself very kindly
He
sometimes.
has no problem with
Dude's sharp as hell, and he gets his point across. I don't always
that.
hate that. But yes, clearly that was a man trying to protect his pregnant wife in the heat of a dangerous moment. And if we can't all look at that image and know what that is, then again, we're simply not operating from the same sense of reality at this point.
It's sad that people look at it that way, but that's the case, Greg. You know what else is the case? On a brighter note, the
Braves are still winning.
Bravos are the first team to 20 wins, baby, in the MLB. Now, the Dodgers are probably going to get it their 20th tonight and be 20-9 like the Braves are. They play the Marlins. But the Marlins can be sticky. But the Braves have yet to lose a series. They end up winning over the Phillies last night. The first team to 20 wins. Gotta love it.
I'm gonna say something that you might want to clip this, because I have long since believed that baseball managers are probably the most useless in all of major sports. Walt Weiss has impressed me this year.
He
And
has.
again, I don't think there's a whole lot of complexity to being a baseball manager. It's much more just being a good clubhouse guy, keeping people, because it's a long season, like we talked about. but he's made some timely decisions. He's made some gutsy calls with some pinch hit. Like I'm I'm a fan. Like I said, going through. I was never a big Snitker guy. Like I respect his consistency, and the team seemed to love him, but Snit just never seemed to get me excited. I think I like what we have in Weiss here, and I hope we can continue to roll out this year and keep things together and get some of those guys off the injured list because I said the Dodgers will be tough to get out of the NL at some point, but I like our chances to at least get to that point, and you get them in a 7-game series. Give me Chris Sale and Spencer Strider throwing a couple of games each. We got a shot, man.
Speaking of Brian Snicker, he was inducted into the Braves Hall of Fame over the weekend. I think Saturday night. It was super rainy, so it kind of got distorted a little bit. But I forget the numbers. I shouldn't even quote it. But let's just throw out 2,000 and something people that have been in the Braves, players, managers since its inception. And he has either played for, coached, or played with like 50 some odd percent of them. So the man was in the organization for 50 years. He never got my excitement going, but you got to respect the man that many years in one organization and what he has meant to that team. So Hall of Fame. But back to Walt Weiss. If by chance we hope, and I pray we do, go on and win the World Series and just have a great year and all that, I think you can put it back to when he went out, when they had that brawl and he went out and double arm tackled Jorge Soler, who was a beast of a man. Even though they knew each other and they had a laugh about it, it was just the fact that he was willing to go out for his team as a manager and try to tackle one of the biggest, baddest men on the planet as a baseball player. And that, how do you not want to play hard for a guy like that?
You and I both know the game of baseball pretty well, and I'll laugh back even at some of our old stories playing softball as adults. And man, we had some teams down in the rec leagues in Macon that it could get pretty tense at
It
times.
would,
And
yes.
you know me, dude. I am a trash talker, but I've always got a smile on my face. I believe everybody takes it as playful because I'm just a good natured trying to have fun with it. But anytime I would feel a game getting a little tenser than I like, I would always find some cat on the other team that I knew pretty well and go, hey, dude, if this shit pops off, you and I are going to square off and just push and shove a little bit. Because I would set myself up, go, I ain't going to be the guy that runs away from it. I go, but I ain't getting right in the middle.
I ain't going after the first baseman.
I ain't getting my teeth knocked out for a co-ed softball brawl.
You go.
So I always had one cat on the team that we had an understanding that we'd get into it and yell and scream and push and shove, but no punches were ever going to be thrown. But no, good for Walt going in there for Jorge. I wouldn't mess with Jorge Soler.
A little bit different than when Don Zimmerman went after Pedro, which I respected, but Pedro gets a bad rap. All he did was simply grab him and just push him down.
He did the only thing you can do in that situation.
Don Zimmerman, what are you doing, buddy? You can hardly walk. You going after Pedro Martinez? Like, what? I respected Don Zimmerman and I respect Walt Weiss, but Walt Weiss is at least, I believe he's trained in jiu-jitsu and is a workout warrior. I never knew, but I remember Chipper Jones telling a story about some brawl that took place while he was a player, and they was talking about how, well, we wasn't worried because we had Walt Weiss. And you're talking about Chipper Jones, who's like 6'3", and he wasn't worried because Walt Weiss, who's 5 foot nothing, he was like, oh, we knew we was going to win this brawl because of Walt Weiss. Apparently the dude's a badass, and I had no idea, but I know it now.
I used to, I've since graduated from the days of ever being out in public, and I don't think I'll ever get myself in any sort of troublesome situation. But I've passed along some of that advice to some younger dudes I'm trying to mentor, and I go, look, that little 5'8", 160-pound dude at the bar that don't say nothing when people talk to him. I go, that's the one you need to be scared of. I go, it ain't the big guys that talk a lot. I go, they talk. I go, it's that quiet little dude that don't say nothing. I go, because he knows something. I go, there's a reason why he ain't scared. He knows something.
Look for the cauliflower ear. Look for the cauliflower ear. If you see that, just don't mess with it. My friend Nathan, I won't mention the other guy's name, but he knows who he is. We were out having some drinks at night, a bourbon night, having some good times. And Nathan is a college wrestler, a high school wrestling coach, not a very big guy. I mean, obviously muscular, but, and the other guy that I'm referring to had a couple, so he was feeling good. And it was all jokey, love, nothing. He was like, I think I can take you. Like, because the other guy's a big guy, former professional athlete, badass. I mean, and he was like, wrestling, I ain't worried too much. So they decided to just see what it is. And Nathan, to his credit, knew that there was zero threat whatsoever. And it was about the quickest takedown you've ever seen in your life. So if a guy there's a different level to wrestling street fighting and wrestling are two different things. If you're gonna fight a wrestler, you better hit him quick. You better hit him first, because if he grabs you, it's over. It's a done
Yeah,
deal.
don't get on the ground with them. Don't get on the ground.
It's a done deal. I had my kids do jiu-jitsu for about 2.5 years, and they know a little bit, not enough to really, but I feel confident that if they can try to take somebody down and know a little bit about what to do. I wish they'd have stuck with it, but it's a different level. There's levels to this, and a wrestler, jiu-jitsu, somebody like Walt Weiss, don't mess with them. Popcorn muscles don't mean nothing.
I've always told people there's a difference between looking in shape and being in shape, and I've always managed to look in shape, but I ain't never really been in good shape. But you can tell when there's just some cats that are real quiet, and you still know not to mess with them.
I used to think I had a good minute in me. I could go for a minute all out. We're down to seconds at this point. Just go punch a bag for about 10 seconds wide open and see what happens.
Yeah, you go sit there, like you said, you go sit there with a heavy bag and just bounce on the balls of your feet and throw punches for 3-minute rounds and tell me you want to keep going after that.
Just grab a dude and just try to hold him and keep him from moving, and you're moving for 8 seconds. You're exhausted. You're winded. So wrestlers, different level. Much respect. Much respect.
No doubt.
Yep. That's it. Episode 30 in the books for Common Sense Superheroes. Be on the lookout for bets, ballots, and beliefs. I always get it wrong.
Beliefs, ballots. Beliefs are the most important thing.
And beliefs is the most important. That's right. Ballots, second most important. Bets, starting to lose its luster for old Gregory. Wifey's putting the claps on it. But check it out for that as well. Beliefs, ballots, and bets. Episode's coming out. He's going to try to do daily. He's been pretty good about it.
We've already got today's put out there, so we got a little scripture and a couple of plays on today's card, and I'm gonna get up here and do it again in the morning. And I said I was actually talking to my wife about it over the weekend. I said, whether anybody else even listens, dude, it's forcing me to get in the Word for a good 20 or 30 minutes every morning, and that can't be a bad thing.
It's a positive for sure. Front Porch with David. I might do a new episode next week. Thanks for everybody just listening and giving us feedback. I appreciate that. Our little clips we get more clip views than we do podcast listens, but that hopefully lead to more podcast listens. Just take a listen.
See if we can get our girl from South Georgia on for a little clip.
Yeah, let's see what we can happen. But that's it. Episode 30.
Jasmine Crockett.
Jasmine Crockett. Don't forget it. Yep. Greg, you got it. What you gonna leave us with today?
Same thing as always, brother. Get in your Bible, say your prayers, tell the truth, and love each other.
Amen. Till next time, guys. Peace.
God bless.